All right, everybody, and we're back into the action here. Looks like we've got Central Washington in the red against Texas in the orange. And a nice high kickoff here with a tip back to Central Washington.
Well, I like this matchup. It's an interesting one because Texas has been playing an awful lot of sevens, and they haven't really won their tournaments. They've struggled to overtake Texas A&M, but they pushed them really hard, and they've been playing an awful lot. The coach, Jacob Lieberman, talking about that he has players who are experienced in college sevens, something that he didn't have a while ago, but he's playing against a team that is extremely experienced in college sevens, that being Central Washington. These guys, they really concentrate on sevens in the fall. They have a USA Under-20 All-American in Tanner Barnes, a short, very fast guy. They have a very accomplished and hard-working forward in Patrick Blair. Known him since he was a high schooler. He's a sevens All-American. I wouldn't say he's a blow-you-away athlete, but nobody's going to work harder than Patrick Blair. So they are a very good team, and I think teamwork is going to be the story of this game.
Well, it's been a little sloppy from both sides early on.
Yeah.
Some handling here, some scrappy play, but a nice break on the outside here. Oh, and the speed is just too much from number 7. We've got Shelby Williams there from Central Washington just burning it up. Really, really nicely taken try there. What do you make of that, Alex?
Well, he's got a nice turn of pace, and that's puts the ball in the left hand. This is, if you watch football, you've got to make sure you protect the ball in the right day. He puts the ball in the hand away from the defender, gets his fending arm out. That's all very nice. It really came from almost nothing. It was sort of a nothing scrum, the ball just rolling out. But what you saw was Central Washington adjusted quickly to the ball, got themselves behind the ball, so then they were able to run onto it and get that attack started. So very good start for Central Washington.
So let's see, we have another kickoff coming here. Central Washington did a good job on their last restart, putting some pressure on and tapping it back before the penalty. Let's see if they can do the same here. And another nice high kick, contesting it early. Texas wins it, but it's a bit sloppy, and they are under some pressure here from the Central Washington defense.
That was a good play from Noah Villalobos to win that restart, because there was a lot of traffic up there in the sky.
Oh, but almost turned
goodness.
over here. Heavens, we are
That'll
seeing a lot of physicality here. This breakdown highly contested.
Well, they want that turnover. They know they can make that turnover pay.
And some nice tackling there from Central Washington. So, heavens. It is getting scrappy in there in the tight quarters. Texas looking to open a space. A little out-the-back pass there. Change of direction here.
Well, I like what Remy Martinez is doing for Texas, the scrum half.
Ooh, just a bit of a knock on there. Looks like we'll go to a scrum.
Yeah, well, Martinez is testing them a little bit. He'll take the ball out of the back of the ruck. He'll do a little sidestep. He'll do a little dart. He'll keep them honest inside. And the idea, I think, is that if he gets through that first channel, he can spin it out wide a little bit and get Central Washington backpedaling a little bit. But it's a scrum to Central Washington. They're in good shape here.
Texas definitely showing some endeavor early. Just a casual observance, it looks like Central Washington has a bit of the speed and size advantage perhaps over Texas, but Texas playing very scrappy here. They're not giving up anything easy, are they, Alex?
No, they're not, and they want to run. They want to attack, which is good. They need to. They can't afford to just fold it simply because they gave up an early try.
Absolutely. And they're trying to do it there. Some nice linking up with number 10 for Texas going in, Jordan Buell. But just weren't able to hold on to it. So it looks like we're having another scrum down here.
This is actually a very big group of forwards for Texas. They're pretty imposing. I'm interested to see how they last through the day. Size doesn't necessarily mean no fitness, but it's difficult to cover all this ground.
Oh, and a bit of a handling error there. Looks like the ref's going to say straight down. Interesting call. Nice long pass. Oh, that's what you call a hospital pass, isn't it, Alex?
That really is. He's going to have to buy a brisket sandwich for that guy after giving him a pass like that. And it perfectly timed. I didn't see the number on the Wildcat player, but perfectly timed tackle, very nicely done. Put him on the ground, forced. Well, somebody knocks it on. I think he knocks it on trying to poach the ball away. So still Texas has the ball.
Absolutely. Well, they're not playing tiddlywinks out there, are they? And Texas again spinning it out wide. Just a bit isolated here, but support for Texas coming back. Ball not quite going to hands. It's a nice loop there, but not going to hand. Now Central Washington putting them under some pressure here. Texas recollects. But boy, it is under a lot of pressure here to get this ball cleanly. Oh, we have a penalty here.
Well, that is not rolling away. So Alex Rare goes in to chase after that loose ball. He kicks ahead. That's all fine. But what happens is when a player is running back to field a kick on the ground, he slides down. That is a beautiful kick, by the way.
Nice clearance kick there.
He slides down on the ground to gather the ball. You can't then dive onto that player. You have to let him get up. And that's a very common penalty that people commit, is to dive onto that player. Well, Rare didn't really dive onto him, but what he did do was he sort of tackled him, and then he held onto him, and he didn't roll away. Once you've tackled someone, you have to allow them the opportunity to present the ball and do something with the ball. And he didn't do that. That was the penalty, and you see that it's a tournament 60 meters.
Well, certainly, I know Texas will be breathing a sigh of relief after that last possession, able to clear their line. Now they are trying to make a bit of a run themselves. But it looks like holding on, penalty to Central Washington, who takes it quickly. Nice run here, looking dangerous. Trying to take it up that short side of the field, but it looks like the Texas defense has them more than covered.
They've got numbers now, though. They've got some space.
And we saw that speed early out on the wing for Central Washington's first score. So certainly they are dangerous if you give them too much on the outside. Let's see here. Central Washington once again using the hands. Yeah, there we are, a little change of direction. Texas had it well covered on their defensive line. Oh, and that's a nice run right there. Number 8, who is going to center this line up. Boy, Texas, you can tell they're scrapping for all they're worth, but it looked like that was a bit of an inevitable thing there. Central Washington's been putting them under quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah, because Texas, I keep wanting to say that Texas is doing a good job retaining ball, and they do. They haven't just run into contact and blindly put themselves in problems, but they've not been able to contain. They've not been able to break through, first of all, and then they've not been able to hold on to the ball long enough. A little bit of a drop here, and you see Central just jumps right all over them. That was Ryan Snyder, who ended up going in for the try. But it's really a case of, we've seen it 3 or 4 times, that Texas has the ball, they're recycling it, they're passing it around, and then one little drop, and then they're all the way back on their try line again.
Well, certainly Central Washington seems to be taking their opportunities when they get them. Texas having a little bit more trouble finishing things off, aren't they?
We talked about backing yourself, and you've got you've got the pattern down, and you're working with your teammates, and you're passing the ball around. But that's only part of it. At some point, somebody has to take a break. Somebody has to say, "I see a little bit of a gap. I'm going to go." They may not make a full break, but then they need their support with them. And I think that Texas, were doing a very good job of getting out of their own end by running directly through gaps. But once they got into sort of an attacking position, they didn't do that so much. They sort of went side to side to side to side, and all that did was end up putting Central Washington in a position to counterattack and score on them.
A little bit sloppier from Texas, like you say. They seem they've been holding their own, but maybe things not quite going to hand the way they would like them to. Maybe some of their support at the breakdown could have been a little bit cleaner. Central Washington, interestingly, didn't seem to have all the possession.
No, they didn't need it.
But they didn't need it, did they?
No, they didn't need it.
So now we're back in the action. Central Washington with the ball in their hands. Spinning it out. Looks like they have numbers out on the left. Texas scrambling to have them covered, but Central Washington opening up holes in that cover defense. Well, here we have a scrum coming, though. A little bit of a knock on there from Central Washington.
Well, Wildcats think that they can do something with this ball now. They may be pushing a little bit too hard. They just need to be patient. I think Texas needs something to happen right now. If they get the ball, I think we'd like to see somebody take a little bit of a, I don't know if the risk is the right word, but let somebody take a little bit of a risk and make something happen, because they don't have a lot of time.
Well, it's certainly not a lopsided score, but you do get that feeling that Texas has got to make something happen here if they're going to get back and win this match.
And that was fine right there. Let's try and make something happen. He ended up being taken into touch. Certainly not much you could do about that, but they're trying to get back into the Central Washington half. You look, though, at the overall, we talked about the Texas forwards being big guys, and they are, but you look at from 1 through 7 on the Central Washington side, everybody is extremely solidly built. They're very physical. Every hit will be felt. So you'll see, even in a 14-minute game, how it wears a guy down.
Yeah, across the board, Central Washington does seem to have a bit of that size, and they are showing it. Some powerful runs, very clinical here. Nice clean out at the breakdown.
And that's Max Naruski, who is a transfer to Central Washington.
Ooh, but we have a knock-on there. Change of direction, but maybe his teammate didn't quite know that he was changing that direction. Wasn't able to get the ball in hand off that quick pass, and now we have another scrum to Texas.
Again, trying to do a little bit too much. Trying to score a try right now. Central doesn't need to do that. They just need to run a little bit of attack, get a half break, go again, recycle.
Well, let's see what happens here. Texas winning their scrum cleanly, but not sure of quite what to make of it, but a nice break up here in the middle. Let's see what they could, but a fantastic tackle there from Central Washington, putting Texas on the back foot. Let's see how that affects them. Link play, still really sloppy in some of the handling. And then we have a knock on there.
This is two of the more experienced teams in terms of how much sevens they've been playing this fall. So a little bit, I guess I would have to say, a little bit disappointed that they've not been able to get the ball to hand. It is their first game of the tournament. They do have more to play. Not as clinical as I expected Central Washington to be, and I think head coach Tony Pacheco would agree. That would probably be his assessment also.
Certainly we had a little bit of wet weather this morning, but you'd think that the field and the ball, the conditions, now that things have dried up, a little gustier maybe than normal, but the ball handling shouldn't be affected too badly by the weather here. So it seems the handling a bit sloppy for the conditions, but
yeah, I think
like
so.
You say, early in the day, teams will improve into it. And some nice running here from Texas, probing that Central Washington defense, but some powerful counter-rucking as well. Once again, getting dirty ball to Texas with a chip ahead, but outside runner just, heavens. Just about made something out of that, number 13.
I almost had to make a tackle there.
Coming right on into the commentating booth.
A little bit close for comfort, but that was nice defense from Shelby Williams. He's a speedy guy. He wanted to make that take care of that run. We have some action on field 2. Arkansas State has finished off their game against North Carolina State 29-5, and Navy is leading Dartmouth 14-10. I have to say that's a bit of a surprise for me, having watched both of those teams play fairly recently. That's a good situation for Navy at present.
Well, here back on field 1, Texas winning their line out, coming out with a strong statement. But Central Washington, once again, being very, very physical at the breakdown. So when Texas is winning this ball, they're just not getting it out too cleanly.
No, they're not. And there was a bit of a low pass. And you saw there the player for Texas control the ball with his foot. He used kind of like a soccer move to trap the ball. That's perfectly okay. That's not a knock-on. Then what he did that wasn't a good idea was then he booted it, almost hit one of his players, which would have been accidental offside, which is a bad idea. Ended up being a line out to Central.
Well, Central Washington collecting their restart here, and they are looking dangerous once again. Oh, and lots of speed here on the outside wing. Number 7 breaking it clear. Fantastic run there from Shelby Williams. He has just looked dangerous all day with ball in hand in a little bit of space, hasn't he, Alex?
He looked terrific, and that was started by Tanner Barnes. Tanner Barnes is playing for the USA U20s when they won the Junior World Rugby Trophy over the summer, and back for his second year with Central Washington. He made that little cut, and what was great about it was Williams was right in support, proper depth, a good pass from Barnes, and that's all you need. Again, it's really much simpler stuff. Is that take a gap, wait until someone is close to you, dish the pass, the guy's gone, and that's it. I mean, we're now at 19-0, and a lot better, sort of a better cushion for Central, I think.
Well, you certainly can't fault the endeavor and the tenacity from Texas, but as we've been saying throughout this game, Central Washington just seems to be so much more clinical. It's not that they've had tons of possession, but boy, when they've had it, they have looked really, really dangerous and come away with a lot of points here. Texas is going to have to change that up very, very quickly if they are going to try to salvage this game.
I think Texas doesn't have as much pace as they need out wide. I also think that if you got a fully straightforward answer from Tony Pacheco on Central Washington, he'd probably say we should have won this game by 40 points. They had enough ball. They were a little bit sloppy with it in the second half, and they could score right now, and it looks like they will.
Central Washington, number 3 here. It's not a done deal, though. A lot of work to do, and just taken out of bounds. That was great work from Texas on their cover defense there, but leaving a lot of gaps out wide, certainly making their defense have to work pretty hard here. What do you think, Alex, for their prospects on the weekend? Leaving that much space on the outside, given their bit of a lack of pace from Texas, kind of a dangerous position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. But that was a terrific cover tackle to end the game. It was and save a try, and that may matter because the second place teams. There's only 2 second place teams that are going into the Cup quarterfinals. So if you are going to finish second, you want to limit the points that you allow and make sure that you've got a good points difference at the end because it's probably going to be points difference. Central Washington, they are one of the favorites, and they are favored to win this pool. And they are very good.
Well, as you mentioned, certainly winning the one-off battles, very, very important. But when you play these tournaments, it's important to get every point that you can in a losing endeavor or not, because it's a long weekend, and as you say, it can oftentimes come down to who actually has the most points in the pool,
right,
as much as actually who's won how many games.
Right. So we're going to have 6 pool winners, regardless of their record. 6 pool winners. They're going in the quarterfinals. Then we have 2. Second-place teams. Most likely, those second-place teams will both be 2-1. It could be that there might have been a tie, something like that, but most likely they'll be 2-1. And then you're going to be working your way through points difference as your tiebreaker. And unfortunately, what that means is that you might have a situation where you have a blowout, and we're going to have a team that really needs to score more points and more points to win. But that's going to be what the story is at the end of the day, is possibly those games where you have a team that's 1-1. Do they win, and do they win big? But you also look back at some of these early games and leaving a sloppy try at the end of a game, something